All right, so this is kind of like what I'm talking about because there's a whole bunch of really kind of heavy levels of pessimism and bearishness and fear out there. I mean, what came out of that SALT conference in Vegas last week was that all these guys are very fearful and scared. And here's an example. I'm going to read this off of an article here. This is on today's Yahoo Finance, okay? I'm going to try to zoom in on this. Maybe you can see it. It says this guy, John Burbank, this time full of peril, may herald the beginning of the liquidation, right? I don't know who this guy, John Burbank, he manages some fund. I guess this is the guy here. And he goes on to talk about China will enter their liquidity crisis. They have the largest amount of non-performing debt in the world. All right. So remember yesterday, I talked about language. You got to listen to the language. So first of all, I don't know if the guy really stated it like this, but the headline reads, this is in hyperbole again. This is a time of great peril. Like we're entering into World War III. I mean, even if the stock market goes down, it's not great peril. We've lived through it, but just the terminology, the language, okay? But more importantly, from a fundamental point of view, let's take that next thing that he said. China will enter into its great liquidity crisis. Liquidity crisis. Like, we're talking about a country that has its own currency, the yuan. It cannot be illiquid in its own currency. It can create infinite amounts of liquidity in yuan. Okay? So he's speaking with great ignorance here. Okay, these are these kind of sound bites that guys like Kyle Bass and all these ignorant people use when they talk about, China or Japan or even the United States for that matter. We're going to go broke, we're insolvent. There can be no liquidity crisis in your own currency. Now, if China had borrowed in dollars or euro, that's a different story, all right? If it was on a gold standard, that's a different story. Then you could have a liquidity crisis. So you take the headline, which is hyperbole, then you read what the guy is saying, and you see he does not know what he's talking about. The debt of the state bank, first of all, the state banks in China, and I've explained this, they lend in yuan, and the state banks are functionally the fiscal agents of the government. They lend into the economy. So even bad loans or insolvencies of banks, that is functionally the same thing as deficit spending here in the United States. That is a fiscal transfer from the sovereign, the Chinese government, to the non-government, the economy. It could do that to infinity. So this is not a time of great peril, okay? It's a time of great opportunity because these people really don't understand. They don't know what they're talking about. And it's so obvious because they'll come out with these hyperbolic statements and then you listen to their rationale, you listen to their arguments, and it's totally flawed. You want to bet against these guys. That's all I'm saying. Okay? See you later. Bye.